the midst of this crypto boom. There's so much confusion, a lot of different coins out there. What should people know right now?
People who are just becoming interested in the space, they need to know that even though there are swings in the value of cryptocurrency, the overall value is going upwards. And also very important is you can buy a fraction of a coin. You can invest in crypto as little as $10. You don't have to save and keep $40,000 to purchase a whole Bitcoin. The third item that I love sharing, cryptocurrency and blockchain space, it's not the speculation and making easy money space. It's a space that can fundamentally change the way we interact, the way we exchange value.
That's really interesting. We've seen that sort of become more and more adopted. We've now seen property owners offering sale prices in Bitcoin, Ether, other coins. Do you feel like that's an ongoing trend that more property owners are going to be comfortable selling their properties for Bitcoin?
Absolutely. The Bitcoin maximalists, the cryptocurrency maximalists, they want the adoption to be widespread. And thus, sometimes they insist, they say, I want to buy goods, luxury goods, collectibles, any type of goods daily for utilizing Bitcoin. So they prefer to buy from vendors and stores that accept cryptocurrency. This means that agents and real estate investors who are willing to accept Bitcoin, they would widen their clientele base if they also offer this type of payment, and the crypto millionaires and billionaires would most likely choose this property over another one.
What trends are you seeing as far as crypto investors maybe taking their gains? You mentioned that it's been certainly Bitcoin and others have been on an upward path. Are you seeing crypto investors take their gains and put them into real estate?
I wouldn't say that's a widespread trend, but whenever the market is in a healthy position, in an upward position like it is now, investors also want to diversify. Normally, they would put in stable assets like real estate. They would put 5%, 10%, not more, because they're still relying that the majority of their fortune, which is in cryptocurrency, will keep appreciating faster than the residential real estate or commercial real estate.
So you started then with Bitcoin, and have you gone into other kinds of crypto?
All my computers and phones are connected to the Brave browser, which is a crypto-based decentralized browser. They kind of reimburse you for participating in a triangle between content creators, advertisers, and users, and you get reimbursed in tokens. And so I've been collecting those for the past few years as well. I've had Ethereum. I've kind of dwindled it away because I've invested in some layer 2 stuff, but I probably have 10 to 12 different types of tokens at this point.
Have you seen them more focused on commercial or residential, or is it just sort of whichever is the more attractive deal at the moment?
I think it's up to their specific habits before the crypto boom. If they liked investing in real estate, they would continue investing in it. But what I'm also seeing that many crypto folks who came to the industry early on and they made a fortune, the first thing they want to do is to buy assets that would be useful for them or their families, and thus residential real estate is something they're looking at right away. Often these investors, crypto investors, also are trying to have several locations for living. And for example, Puerto Rico is a very attractive location for them, and often they would like just invest and buy a second home there or even primary residence. So that's normally what we're seeing, what is behind their thought process.
Interesting. Do you see crypto investors diversifying in other ways, or are they really keeping the bulk of their wealth in crypto?
I think they're finding the way to diversify still in the crypto space. So besides that, you normally invest in the top coins like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and some blockchain tokens, blockchain cryptocurrencies like XRP, Cardano, Luna now is hot. Besides that, there are also different trends. For example, DeFi, where you can earn money by being a lender of your Bitcoin or crypto. Or the new space, that's the trend of this year, is NFTs. You can buy NFTs, which is collectibles, where you have to have a different mindset to predict what kind of art would be demanded. So I'm saying they're still staying in the space, but they just choose different ways to invest. They could invest in a blockchain startup. They could invest in a token sale for a blockchain startup. They could invest in a crypto fund, whether it's a crypto VC or crypto hedge fund who holds and invests in crypto tokens.
Can they buy real estate without selling their crypto and just using a lending platform?
We actually are partnering with Helio. Propy is a partner of Helio Lending, which aggregates different lenders, crypto lenders alone. And the way it works, when a crypto holder has his or her Bitcoin and they want to diversify and buy real estate, normally they really like keeping their cryptocurrency, and thus they just borrow USDT or a stable coin against their Bitcoin. Let's say they put $1 million and they lock it through this crypto lender. They take 70% of this value in dollars, so $700,000. And then if the market goes down, the lender basically liquidates the Bitcoin to be safe. And then obviously this borrower can utilize $700,000 to buy real estate and keep their Bitcoin.
Obviously you're buy and hold, you're in for the long term, but I heard you're also planning to use some of your gains and turn them into real estate assets. So what's that process like for you?
I'm not quite there yet, but it is a goal. I'm currently saving for my first property now. And before I got into crypto, I was living check to check. And this is kind of also a transition, or it lines up with my transition in my new career. I just started as an electrician, so that's very helpful in earning like a livable wage. And it allows me to make investments. And I know that a lot of people struggle to be able to do that. If possible, I do highly recommend everyone really getting into it. But getting into it means you got to get out of it, because obviously you can't just hold it forever. And I would very much like to take a portion of my holdings, or the majority of my holdings, to get into real estate. That's one of the only things I would really say I would like more than the crypto, obviously, because I mean, you got to do something with it eventually, right? But I would imagine that within the next few years, more lending companies are going to roll out options for you to be able to either make payments, or other third-party companies will kind of allow you to borrow against what you have. And I would be more in favor of borrowing against my own holdings as opposed to just selling them, but we'll see where it goes. I'm kind of waiting for that to roll out a bit further, because it seems like it's kind of just now becoming a thing where you can borrow against your holdings. And I just recently heard, I forget which lending company it was, but I heard that there was a lending company, maybe the second largest one, that was going to be accepting payments in Bitcoin. So that's the type of news I'm really looking for. And, hopefully within the next few years, I can make a move into real estate. That'd be really great.
Yeah, that's United Wholesale Mortgage. They announced that on their earnings call, and I talked to their CEO recently about that. They're looking at Bitcoin, but also potentially other things. They haven't quite figured out how they're going to do it yet, but he promises they're going to be doing it pretty fast. So when you're thinking about real estate, are you thinking rental property investments? Are you thinking residence? Are you thinking a house hack where you buy a duplex and live in one half of it? What kind of real estate are you looking at?
Well, I just got married and I'm trying to start a family, so I do need to find a place to live. But I would really like to do investment property, maybe a second property that I could Airbnb.
Nice.
The duplex thing does sound, doable. I'm pretty open to that.
Well, one of the things I know about Propy is that you had your first NFT transaction recently. And one of the things I was impressed by is the speed of the transaction. So tell us a little bit about that and how blockchain really makes the process of real estate, which is really takes a long time, almost instantaneous.
So first, when we did our token sale a few years ago and we tokenized the process, now we're just doing traditional transactions on blockchain. And we're seeing a lot of traction in the United States. Then this year, when the NFT space took off and everyone was exchanging art via NFTs, we've been thinking, okay, we almost NFT'd the process of sales. We're doing it for traditional deals. How about we actually do an NFT for a home, which will allow to transfer ownership from one wallet to another wallet? And so we did this transaction. It was very successful, very smooth, and basically what it meant is that a property was NFT'd with specific papers, a legal framework that we developed, which stated if you sell this property, the next owner who will hold this NFT in their digital wallet will own the property. And so after we did this paperwork, the seller signed this paperwork, so now the property is NFT'd. Then we made an auction, 40 people participated, and the winner is a software engineer who lives in Silicon Valley in San Francisco. He's a millennial. He's afraid to buy real estate because it's complex. And that's basically his first ever real estate investment because it was easy to do. Within minutes after he won the bidding process, he became the owner of the property because he has this NFT in his wallet. And now he can sell it again.
Interesting. So you made a really interesting point that I kind of wanted to key in on, which is this idea that millennials maybe sometimes can feel, especially younger people, feel that this is all too complex. Real estate is too complex, but they understand the crypto space. They understand buying stocks. Do you feel like because of that understanding level that that this is going to take off as an easier way to buy and transact real estate?
I do think so. It just makes so much sense because all the paperwork is done in advance. And then they got used to buy crypto, as you said, on their phone, and it's just made with a couple of clicks. And same here. They trust that nobody can ever go to the blockchain and just change records. It's there forever. It's immutable. It's accepted even by courts. If a transaction happening on a blockchain, it's immutable. It's not a corporation that can make a mistake. It's not a government-controlled registry where hackers can get access to and just steal your property. It just feels very easy and secure for millennials to buy or trade something of value.
So you mentioned that the NFT is really the core of how you're transacting properties right now. Can you just go back and explain what an NFT is for people who may not have heard of it?
Well, first of all, 99% of our transactions on Propy, they're not via NFTs just yet, because we just introduced the first ever NFT sale. So what we're doing is really like traditional deals for dollars, not crypto, for dollars with traditional agents. But buyers and sellers through an app just see the process of closing very easily. It's very easy, very secure to close a home purchase. You find a home on Zillow or Redfin or somewhere else, but when you want to close it, you just close it through a Propy platform. Because on the back end, everything is recorded on the blockchain. But now, what is NFT? I know this is an exciting topic. Everyone is talking about it this year. It's a non-fungible token. Bitcoin consists of 21 million tokens that are the same. NFT is a unique token, and it can represent a unique asset. It could represent one collectible art, a piece of music, and it can represent ownership, rights. And real estate is the best use case after digital art because it is already digital. Records are digital. Paperwork is digital. And it's also immovable. So if you hold rights on your wallet. Nobody can ever take those rights from your wallet, but also the property itself, hackers cannot just take it away. So this is why real estate is the best use case for NFTs after digital art.
Well, one last question for you. What do you feel is the most interesting aspect of the relationship between crypto and real estate?
I think, again, real estate is a digital asset already. Thanks to agents, the National Association of Realtors, e-signatures accepted, thanks to internet and digitalization. I think that's the most fascinating part because it's a digital asset. The most natural way to develop this industry is to exchange it via cryptocurrencies, via crypto blockchain technologies. Also, there is so much fraud and confusion in the industry. Blockchain can eliminate all of that. Recording data on a digital distributed ledger is more accurate and much safer. The entire transaction process is cumbersome as well. If we can sell properties as NFTs via auction, the process becomes more visible and transparent.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your time. This was really fascinating.
Thank you so much for wonderful questions.